In early April, 49-year-old Leonard Reeves stood in front of a small crowd in his backyard, holding hands with a woman half his age. Her name was Vanessa Hart, 26, stunning, with silky black hair and green eyes that seemed to hypnotize everyone in the room. Leonard, a successful business owner in Tampa, Florida, had made his fortune in real estate. He had never married before and had spent most of his life building his empire. Now, everyone was shocked that he married someone so quickly, especially someone they barely knew. They had met only 4 months earlier at a charity gala. Vanessa said she was a freelance writer, new in town, trying to find herself. Leonard was captivated by her charm, and the two became inseparable. Friends warned him to slow down, but he laughed off their concerns. "I finally found someone who loves me for me," he said. But not everyone was convinced. Leonard's younger sister, Denise, was especially suspicious. She had noticed how Vanessa often asked about Leonard's bank accounts, assets, and the properties he owned. Vanessa even started dropping hints about getting her name added to some of the titles. Leonard brushed it off. "She just wants to feel secure," he said. By June, Leonard had changed. He became more private, distant from longtime friends and colleagues. He handed more financial power to Vanessa, giving her access to several of his accounts and buying her a new Mercedes-Benz as a gift. His employees noticed she often dropped by the office, asking questions and poking around. Leonard's assistant, Patricia, tried to raise concerns, but he cut her off. "Vanessa is my wife. She's family now." 2 months into the marriage, everything seemed too perfect on the surface. Vanessa planned romantic getaways, spoiled Leonard with gifts, and often made him feel like a king. But behind the scenes, things were falling apart. Money began disappearing from Leonard's business accounts. Property documents were moved or tampered with. When Leonard confronted Vanessa, she'd smile and play innocent. "You must be stressed," she'd say. "You work too hard, baby." Then, on a humid Friday morning in July, Leonard woke up alone. Vanessa wasn't in bed. Her phone was on the nightstand, but she was gone. Her clothes, shoes, and bags were all missing. At first, Leonard thought she had gone shopping or to visit a friend. But hours passed. By evening, she hadn't returned. Leonard called the police and filed a missing person report. He seemed more confused than worried. "She left everything behind except her clothes," he said. "Even her phone. Who disappears without their phone these days?" The police began their investigation, and soon, cracks started to show. Vanessa had given a fake address on her marriage certificate. Her social security number was tied to someone else. The name Vanessa Hart didn't even exist before 5 months ago. Leonard was stunned. His perfect wife was a ghost. And that was just the beginning. Detective Carla Mendez from the Tampa Police Department was assigned to the case. At first, it seemed like a typical missing person situation. But within days, it turned into something far more disturbing. Vanessa Hart, as she was known to Leonard Reeves, was not who she claimed to be. There were no public records of her existing before March of that year. No high school, no college, no tax returns, no family ties. Every document she had used, including her driver's license and passport, was forged. Whoever she was, she had vanished like a shadow. Leonard was crushed. The woman he had believed was his soulmate was a stranger, maybe even a criminal. Detective Mendez started digging into the timeline. Vanessa had entered Leonard's life suddenly, charmed him, married him, and now had vanished, along with at least $820,000 in cash, jewelry, and investments. That amount included 2 luxury watches, a diamond bracelet, and a transfer she had convinced Leonard to make for a vacation property in the Bahamas. The money was wired to a foreign account. She had also sold one of Leonard's properties in Clearwater, without his knowledge, by forging his signature. Leonard sat in the police station, pale and shaken. "I trusted her," he whispered. "She said she loved me." Detective Mendez nodded, but inside, she knew the truth. This wasn't about love. This was a well-planned setup. Vanessa didn't just take his heart, she took his life savings. The deeper they dug, the more they found. Security camera footage showed Vanessa leaving their home early that Friday morning, pulling a large suitcase behind her. A few hours later, she was spotted on another camera at the Tampa International Airport, wearing a black hoodie and oversized sunglasses. But the trail stopped there. No airline had her listed on a flight. No one matching her photo had boarded any plane. They searched hotels, train stations, bus stops, even rideshare records. Nothing. It was like she disappeared into thin air. Meanwhile, Denise, Leonard's sister, was furious. I told him, she told police. She was fake. I knew it. Now she's taken everything. 2 weeks later, Leonard began receiving strange emails from an unknown address. One message read, "Don't look for me. You were just a tool. Stop before things get worse." Detective Mendez traced the IP address to a coffee shop in Miami, but by the time they arrived, there was no sign of Vanessa or whoever had sent the message. A man at the shop claimed he saw a woman matching her description using a laptop. She paid in cash, left no trace. Then things took a darker turn. Leonard's health began to suffer. He stopped going to work. He barely ate. One day, Denise found him passed out in his living room. He had been drinking, surrounded by photos of Vanessa. She ruined him, Denise said. And she's still out there. Detective Mendez began to wonder, was this just a con? Or something much worse? Because something about Vanessa's disappearance didn't feel like a simple escape. It felt like a trap, and Leonard Reeves was right in the middle of it. By the third week of Vanessa's disappearance, Leonard's once orderly life had crumbled. The media caught wind of the story. Millionaire husband duped by vanishing bride. Made headlines on local news. Reporters parked outside his gated home. Strangers left notes in his mailbox, some pitying, others mocking. Detective Carla Mendez was still chasing leads. Something about this case haunted her. Vanessa had planned everything too well. Her timing, her disappearance, the forged papers, even the fake social media presence she created months before meeting Leonard. She didn't vanish on impulse, Mendez said to her partner. She was never planning to stay. Then came a breakthrough. The police received an anonymous tip. A caller, using a voice changer, claimed to have seen Vanessa boarding a yacht at a private dock in Miami the day she disappeared. The caller even provided the name of the vessel, the Morning Whisper. It was registered to a shell company in Belize. The police rushed to track down the boat, but it had already left U.S. waters. Customs had no record of Vanessa on board, but Mendez believed the identity she used to board wasn't Vanessa Hart. Whoever this woman really was, she was a ghost, and she was gone. Back in Tampa, Leonard started acting paranoid. He claimed someone had been watching his house at night. Denise brushed it off as stress and trauma. But when Leonard's dog was found poisoned in the backyard, everyone took it seriously. No one had seen anyone come or go, and the security cameras had been mysteriously disabled that night. Detective Mendez started considering the unthinkable. Maybe Vanessa hadn't left alone. Maybe she had help. Maybe someone was still here, watching Leonard. And then Leonard disappeared. It happened on a Monday morning. His car was found parked outside his real estate office. The front door was unlocked, but no one had seen him go in. His phone was inside, on his desk, along with his keys. No signs of struggle. No fingerprints other than his own. Denise was the first to report him missing. He wouldn't just walk away, she told police, trembling. He's broken, but he's not suicidal. Detective Mendez felt something she hadn't felt in years, dread. She returned to Leonard's house and searched again. In his study, she found a notebook hidden behind a stack of files. Inside were pages of scribbled notes. Words like trap, followed, and not alone appeared over and over. On one page, circled several times, were the words, "She said someone else is coming for me." Suddenly, the case took a darker shape. Vanessa hadn't just conned Leonard for money. She may have lured him into something bigger, something dangerous. That night, a neighbor's security camera caught something chilling. At 2:13 a.m., a black SUV was seen pulling into Leonard's driveway. Two figures stepped out, one tall and slim, the other shorter, carrying a bag. 15 minutes later, they left. No one ever saw Leonard again. And just like Vanessa, he had vanished. 2 days after Leonard's disappearance, a jogger found something disturbing in a wooded area outside Tampa. Lying in the tall grass was a torn piece of fabric, navy blue, soaked in blood. A few feet away, a burned phone and a shattered gold watch were discovered. The phone was later confirmed to be Leonard's. Detective Carla Mendez arrived at the scene with her team. The area had no cameras, no homes, and no reason for Leonard to have been there. It was remote, too remote for an accident. Something had gone very wrong. "This isn't a disappearance anymore," Mendez said grimly. "This is a crime scene." Forensics teams scoured the woods. Blood samples confirmed it was Leonard's. A boot print was found near a patch of disturbed soil, but it was smeared and incomplete. Still, it gave Mendez hope. He didn't walk out of here alone. Back at the station, Mendez re-interviewed everyone in Leonard's life: employees, friends, neighbors. One name kept popping up: someone who had quietly come and gone without much attention. His name was Clint Masters. Clint had claimed to be Vanessa's cousin at the wedding, but no one had spoken to him since. Denise remembered him as rude and cold, and Leonard's assistant recalled seeing him leave the office one afternoon with a folder under his arm. A background check revealed Clint didn't exist. The ID he used at the wedding was fake. Mendez now believed Clint was an accomplice, maybe even the mastermind. She lured Leonard in, she told her captain, but he's the one who made sure Leonard never got out. But there was one more clue. Leonard had installed a secret home camera system in his bedroom, a hidden device disguised as a smoke detector. Denise had no idea it existed, and neither did Vanessa. When police recovered the footage, it showed weeks of disturbing behavior. Vanessa was seen snooping through Leonard's safe while he slept. On one video, she made a late-night phone call where she whispered, "He's almost ready. Just be patient." But the final clip, dated 3 days before she vanished, chilled Mendez to her core. Vanessa was sitting on the bed, recording a video message. "By the time you see this," she said, looking directly at the hidden camera, "I'll be gone. And so will he." She smirked. "He's rich. He's weak. And he made it too easy." She paused, then added, "If you're watching this, detective, I want you to know, you're already too late." The screen went black. Detective Mendez knew then that Leonard Reeves hadn't just married a gold digger. He had married a predator. And now, both he and Vanessa were gone. But Mendez swore they would not remain missing forever. She would find the truth, even if it meant digging up the darkest secrets buried beneath this perfect lie. Detective Carla Mendez wasn't sleeping much anymore. Her apartment was filled with printed maps, surveillance photos, and case files. The deeper she went, the darker the picture became. Leonard Reeves hadn't been Vanessa's first target, and possibly not even her last. With help from cybercrime experts, Mendez tracked down similar cases across different states. In Oregon, a wealthy vineyard owner had lost nearly $500,000 to a mysterious woman who vanished days before they were to marry. In Nevada, a retired surgeon had been found dead in his bathtub, ruled a suicide until the police learned. His young fiancée had disappeared with his financial records. Her name in that case? Sierra Blake. But the woman in the photos was clearly Vanessa. Different names, different stories, same face. Vanessa had been playing this game for years, adopting new identities, seducing rich, lonely men, and vanishing before the truth caught up to her. But what happened with Leonard was different. This time, someone was dead, or close to it. And she didn't work alone. Detective Mendez had the footage from the night of Leonard's disappearance enhanced. A blurry figure stepped out of the SUV, tall, broad-shouldered, and wearing a hoodie. A second figure helped carry something into the house, a large black bag. Mendez believed it was Leonard, unconscious or already dead. More pieces began falling into place. The same black SUV had been seen in security footage near the Miami dock where the Morning Whisper had left. A gas station camera in Naples captured Vanessa, disguised, but unmistakable, buying gloves, batteries, and a prepaid phone just hours before she vanished. She had every move planned, Mendez said. Every detail. Nothing about this was random. The case broke wide open when a fisherman off the Florida coast found a waterproof container tangled in his net. Inside were soaked documents, several hard drives, and a blood-stained ring. The ring belonged to Leonard, engraved with his initials. The drives contained spreadsheets, identity templates, fake passports, and a folder labeled Reeves Project. The notes showed how Vanessa studied Leonard. For weeks before their first meeting, his properties, business holdings, emotional triggers, and even his favorite wine. It wasn't love. It was a heist. And now, possibly a murder. But Mendez wasn't ready to accept Leonard was dead. Not yet. A phone ping changed everything. Someone used one of the prepaid phones, purchased by Vanessa near a small port town in the Bahamas. The signal was weak, but it was enough to send a team to investigate. 3 days later, a shocking discovery was made. Inside an abandoned beach villa was a locked storage room. Inside that room, tied to a chair, frail and bruised, but alive, was Leonard Reeves. Barely able to speak, he looked up at rescuers and whispered. She said, "I had to suffer. Like all the others." Vanessa had kept him alive. But for what? Leonard Reeves was barely conscious when the rescue team found him. He had lost weight. His skin was pale and bruised, and he flinched at even the softest sound. But he was alive, and with time, his mind began to return. Detective Carla Mendez flew to the Bahamas the next morning. The moment she stepped into the dim villa where Leonard had been held, she felt the chill of something evil. The room smelled of mildew and old blood. On the walls were strange symbols, drawn in red marker, hearts with cracks through them, dollar signs dripping like tears, and one chilling phrase written over and over again. "He broke me. I broke him." Leonard was rushed to a hospital in Nassau under heavy protection. Mendez waited until he was strong enough to talk. When he did, his voice trembled. "She never loved me," he whispered, eyes filled with sorrow. "She studied me, manipulated everything, even the proposal," she said. "She knew I'd say yes when I was weakest." According to Leonard, Vanessa had drugged him the night she vanished. He remembered waking up in the back of a moving vehicle, gagged and bound. He was taken to a dock, loaded onto a boat, and transported to the villa, where she and a man, Clint, he assumed, kept him locked up. They took turns watching me. Sometimes she was sweet. Other times, she said she hated men like me. She said she wanted me to feel what it's like to be used, thrown away. Detective Mendez asked the question that had haunted her for weeks. "Why didn't they just kill you?" Leonard stared at the ceiling for a long moment before answering. "She wanted me to disappear, but suffer first. She said my money came from broken promises, that I represented every man who lied to a woman and left her with nothing." Mendez's blood ran cold. This wasn't just a gold digger scam. This was revenge. A personal war waged by a woman with a deeply buried grudge. One. She turned into a pattern, using beauty, lies, and charm as her weapons. Forensic teams searched the villa. They found strands of Vanessa's hair, several burner phones, and maps marked with names and notes. It was a hit list, dozens of names of wealthy men, with scribbled comments like, "Ego-driven, owns beach home, emotionally vulnerable." Vanessa was not just a con artist. She was a predator on a mission. But she was also gone again. One clue remained. In the freezer of the villa, hidden behind packs of frozen meat, was a sealed envelope. It was addressed to Detective Mendez. Inside was a handwritten letter. "You were smart. Smarter than the others. But not fast enough. I let him live. That's your prize. I'm not finished. The game continues. Try to keep up. V." Mendez folded the letter slowly. Vanessa had vanished once more. But now, it was personal. Vanessa Hart, or whatever her real name was, had vanished again. Despite being the prime suspect in multiple cons, identity thefts, and now attempted murder, there was no trace of her. No fingerprint, no digital trail, no known associates willing to talk. She had erased herself like a ghost in the wind. But Detective Carla Mendez wasn't ready to let her go. After Leonard Reeves was airlifted back to Tampa, he gave police everything he remembered: his meetings with Vanessa, her strange habits, the story she told when she thought he was too weak to listen. There was one name she kept mentioning in those quiet moments: Melina. She said Melina taught her everything, Leonard whispered. She said Melina was her first teacher, a master of survival. Detective Mendez launched a new investigation focused on this mysterious name. Digging through old identity fraud cases, she discovered a woman named Melina Graves, arrested in 2002 for grand larceny, released in 2008. Her methods were eerily similar to Vanessa's, but Melina had disappeared after her release, just like Vanessa. Then came the shock. In a photograph taken outside a Las Vegas courthouse in 2009, Melina Graves was walking beside a young woman. The face was unmistakable. It was Vanessa, only younger, with dyed hair and sunglasses, listed on the arrest records as Anna Graves, Melina's daughter. Now Mendez understood. This wasn't just a criminal, it was a legacy. Vanessa had been raised to con, trained to seduce and vanish. It wasn't revenge against just one man. It was a belief system passed down through a twisted mother-daughter bond. Every victim was a target, calculated, chosen, and then destroyed. A nationwide manhunt began. Vanessa was now wanted by the FBI, Interpol, and financial crime units across 6 countries. Her face appeared on news programs and digital billboards. Tips poured in, but none of them panned out. Until one rainy evening in Barcelona, Spain, a security camera in a luxury boutique captured a tall woman paying in cash for a $6,000 necklace. Her face was partially covered, but her voice, caught on the recording, was sent to a voice expert. It was a 92% match for Vanessa Hart. Interpol raided the apartment listed on the boutique's customer log, but she was gone. Only a note remained, placed on the vanity mirror. Wrong again. You chase. I dance. Some stories don't end. Back in Tampa, Leonard Reeves began rebuilding his life. He sold most of his properties, donated large sums to support victims of fraud, and opened a foundation called the Broken Heart Fund. But he never fully recovered. His eyes stayed heavy. His trust in people was shattered forever. Detective Carla Mendez closed the case file, knowing she'd never truly close it. Vanessa was out there, somewhere, changing faces, changing names, starting again. But she had made one mistake. She left behind a survivor, and a detective who would never forget. Because some predators don't stop hunting, and some stories don't get justice. They just get remembered.